Hi, it's Amy Romeo, and I'm so excited you're here for Faux Leather Crafts Camp. In today's workshop, I'll be showing you how to make these really cute faux leather earrings. One is a tumbler and one is a smiley face flower. We're going to make these using faux leather, heat transfer vinyl, and a Cricut. I'll show you how to get the SVG for these designs in just a minute, but first I'm going to go through the materials that we'll be using. So I'll be cutting my material with the Cricut Maker today, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines because we cut faux leather with the standard fine point blade that's included on all of them. Now the faux leather that I'm using, I'm going to use some white on a sheet, but you can also use faux leather that comes in rolls, and I'll have links to all of my materials that I use and recommend for you. You can use pastel colors if you'd like, any color you'd like of faux leather. I recommend that it's nice and smooth so that your heat transfer vinyl will be able to stick well to it. Now the heat transfer vinyl I'm using Caesar Easy Weed because it's easy to weed, but you can use any heat transfer vinyl of your preference. So these designs both have a faux leather base, which I'll be cutting from the white, and then 2 layers of heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to use the lighter color on the bottom for both designs and then a darker color on top. So again, your choice. And I'm going to be showing you how to put a back on the faux leather before we cut it. And that's going to do a few things for our earrings. First, it's going to create some structure and they won't curl. They'll stay nice and flat. 2, it'll give a finished look to the back of the earrings. They'll look professional. And 3, you can also add a pop of color and just some interest on the back depending on the color you choose. So you can use any regular heat transfer vinyl, or in this case, I'll be using Cricut foil iron-on. Now to press the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather, I'll be using my Easy Press Mini on the low setting, but you can also use a regular Easy Press. I recommend setting it to about 265 degrees. Some other things we'll need: a heat pressing pad to protect your surface, a cover sheet of some kind. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed smaller. You could also use butcher paper or parchment paper. Then some blue painter's tape to help us cut our faux leather. I'll use the purple strong grip mat and the green standard grip mat to cut my faux leather and my heat transfer vinyl. I'll also have some small curved scissors, some craft scissors, weeding tools, and then some jewelry making pliers. These are just 2 kind of flat nose pliers, and then some regular shepherd earring hooks and some 6mm jump rings. All right, so let's hop over into how to get the SVGs, and then we'll go into Design Space. I'll show you how to cut out these mats, and then we will assemble the earrings. To get the SVG for this and all of the daily event projects, visit the event page at amyromeo.com/summer24 or click the link in the description. You'll also see the option to upgrade to the event VIP pass, where you'll get instant access to all of the daily event projects, bonus files, and more. Starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG file is for this project. Click Open. You'll see a preview of the shapes. Click Continue and then Upload. And the 2 earring designs will appear on your canvas. So you'll notice that there are 2 versions of each design. One has a pre-cut earring hole and the other does not. And I give you both because if you wanted to change the size of the earrings, then that would change the size of your earring hole. So you would want to use the version without the pre-cut holes and punch your own earring holes with a 1/16 inch hole punch. Or if you wanted to use these designs, let's say to cut from vinyl to put on a t-shirt or to make a decal, you also would want to use the without holes version. I'll be making the earrings in the regular earring size today. So I'm going to ungroup the designs on the canvas, and I'm going to delete the versions that I'm not going to use. And then we're left with the flower and the tumbler, and these are both made the same way. They're 3 layers. The bottom layer is going to cut from the faux leather of your choice, and then these 2 different color layers will cut from the heat transfer vinyl of your choice. So I'm going to click the Make It button. We're cutting our material on a mat, and Design Space has broken our project down into the 3 different mats. The first thing we want to do is go through and click on Mirror for each of these mats because heat transfer vinyl and faux leather cut in reverse. So now that we've mirrored our mats, I'm going to go back through them and just separate my designs a little bit Now, if you were cutting these from different colors of faux leather, what I would recommend is dragging them to different parts of your mat so that you can put the little pieces of faux leather in each corresponding place. But I'm going to be cutting both of these from white, so I'm going to nestle my shapes here close together. And I just want to drag them a little bit away from the edges, the top and the left edge there of my mat, because we will be putting some blue painter's tape down. And again, I'll do that for these pieces. And I'm going to be cutting the heat transfer vinyl from different colors, so I will move them to separate parts of my mat. Again, I'm just dragging them apart from each other just a little bit, and you'll see that will help when we are pressing these tiny shapes together. So I'm going to click back on my faux leather mat. I always like to cut that one first. I'll click continue. The material selection I'm going to use for the faux leather is called Faux Leather Paper Thin. If you don't have it bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using the Explore Air 2, you do have this setting. You'll need to turn your dial to Custom before you can search and find that setting. So I'm going to click on Faux Leather Paper Thin, and you always want to choose more pressure, and that's going to help your cut. And you could see we're just using that regular fine point blade that comes standard with all the current Cricut machines. For the vinyl layers, I'm just going to use the heat transfer vinyl setting that corresponds to the material that I'm using. So I'll probably use the iron-on setting just with default pressure. So let's hop back over to my overhead camera and we'll go ahead and cut out our mats, and then we'll put together the earrings. So I mentioned that I want to show you how to put a back on the faux leather earrings, and the way that I prefer to do this is to put the backing on the faux leather before we make the cut. That way we get a nice cut through both layers at once. So I've cut a piece of faux leather just slightly smaller than my earring shapes that need to cut, and then I've cut a piece of that foil iron-on, or you can use heat transfer vinyl, and this one is just slightly smaller than my faux leather piece. I have my Easy Press Mini set to low, which is that first green line. I'm going to place this with the pretty side down of the faux leather and the shiny side up of the foil iron-on so that the backs are touching. Place that here on my heat pressing pad. I'm going to cover and I'm going to press all over with firm pressure for about 10 seconds. After I've pressed all over, this is going to be very warm, so be careful. What I want to do is try and keep the faux leather nice and flat, and I want to lift up the clear carrier sheet that comes with the foil iron-on or the heat transfer vinyl, and I want to very slowly peel that back. Now, if you peel this back and you see the vinyl lifting or bubbling, you'll want to place it right back down and press for another 5 to 10 seconds. But this looks pretty good, and I'm able to keep the foil wrinkle free because I'm keeping it flat as I peel. Here we go. Let me show you what that looks like. So you can start to see the texture of the faux leather underneath coming through. What I want to do is cover again and press for another 5 seconds or so. There we go. And with that second press, you can really start to see that faux leather backing the texture, and that lets us know that this is really well adhered to the back of the faux leather. So I'm going to go ahead and get my purple strong grip cutting mat, place the faux leather with the pretty side down of the faux leather onto the mat, press that down well with your fingers, and then I'm going to use some blue painter's tape and just tape it down on all sides. Now this can be reused, so I'm just using some older pieces of blue painter's tape, and this is going to help keep our faux leather firm on the mat and not move around when we're cutting. So we have our faux leather paper thin setting already set to go with the Cricut. So I'm just going to load the mat and begin the cut. So our mat has cut one time, and something important that I wanted to mention was if this is your first time cutting faux leather with your machine, you'll want to make sure that your little white star wheels are moved away from the center of your roller bar and off to the sides, because they could leave some tracks in your faux leather or move your faux leather around, and you don't want that. So our mat has cut one time, and before I unload the mat, I want to check the cut to make sure that it went all the way through. So I'm just going to use my sharp weeding tool and lift up the edge a little bit. If the cut did not go all the way through, I can repeat the cut by pressing the cut button again, as long as I haven't unloaded the mat. But this looks pretty good, so I'm going to unload the mat. And I wanted to show you what it looks like when you cut with the foil iron-on or the heat transfer vinyl on the back. You can see that it leaves sort of little ridge marks all along the cut, but don't worry, we're going to press those out now before we move on. So I'm just going to carefully remove my shapes from the mat. These scissors are great for trimming any little fuzzies on the edges also. You'll also want to use your sharp weeding tool and just poke through the hole that cut with your Cricut. If necessary, you can punch a new hole using a 1/16 inch paper punch. This is the perfect size earring hole. So I'm going to remove all of my shapes, and then I'll show you how we're just going to press out those little ridge lines. Again, my Easy Press Mini is on low. Just going to place all of my shapes here. I'm going to cover again and press for about 5 seconds. And you can see what a difference that makes to those edges. Okay, so these shapes are warm. I'm going to place them underneath my heat pressing pad just to help them cool nice and flat. I'm going to return to Design Space and cut out the heat transfer vinyl mats for the earrings, and then we'll put them together. So I finished cutting and weeding all of my vinyl layers. I'm going to take a moment just to cut all of the layers apart with scissors. I'll get my heat pressing pad set up, everything organized, and then we'll start to press. Okay, so all of my vinyl layers are separated. My heat pressing pad is ready to go with the faux leather bottoms for the tumbler earrings and then the 2 vinyl layers. And I've already turned the bottom loop on my earring hooks 90 degrees with my pliers so that my earrings will hang straight. And if this is a technique that I show in detail in a video on my YouTube channel, and I'll link to that for you. So I've already turned my earring hooks. I have my 6mm jump rings. All we need to do now is press our vinyl onto the faux leather. So I'm going to take the bottom layer first. I'm going to line it up. You're basically lining up that earring hole, the pre-cut hole in the vinyl, with the faux leather underneath. And there should be a little thin border of the faux leather color visible around your shape here. Just going to place this down here. I'll cover with my little Teflon sheet, and again we'll press for about 5 to 10 seconds. I'll remove the carrier sheet very gently, just by peeling back. Try to keep that faux leather nice and flat. Just peel back that carrier sheet. Remember, if the vinyl bubbles or lifts, just press that carrier sheet right back down and press some more, but that looks good. And now we're going to layer our vinyl just like you layer vinyl on a t-shirt. We're going to put our next layer of vinyl, and what I'm doing here is lining up the line. The little tumbler stripe here, I'm lining that up just before the handle begins. Hope you can see that there. And then the little flower just pops into place. So again, we'll press for about 5 to 10 seconds. Again, carefully peel back. And that looks really cute. So again, this is warm, so we'll place it here. We'll let it cool flat while we repeat with the other earring. So we'll let this one cool as well while I press the flowers in the exact same way. And there's the little happy face flower. So I'll let these cool. I'll bring back my tumblers, and now I'm just going to use my jewelry making pliers to open up the jump rings and attach my earring hooks to my earrings. Now we'll repeat the process of adding earring hooks to our little happy face flowers. And there we are. The earrings are complete. Remember, to get this and all the event files for the Faux Leather Crafts Camp event, visit amyromeo.com/summer24. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.